Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Planning for Your Food Day campus event. My name is Kate Klein, and I am the National Campus Food Day Coordinator for Real Food Challenge and for Food Day. And basically, I am the person that will give all of you people on campuses, so whether you're students or administrators or staff or what have you, give you the resources and coaching and everything you need to plan for and to execute a really awesome and impactful Food Day event. I also want to kind of applaud you guys for being on this webinar because the reason we want to do one so early on is because to do a really awesome Food Day event, you have to start planning early, as in like now. And over I hear students saying that, and other people on campuses saying they wish they had started earlier. So it sounds like everyone here is on the right track. So great, I think we can go ahead and get started. So, Avi, if you want to move ahead. So firstly, I just want to overview what we're going to talk about. So first we're going to talk about how to use GoToWebinar. There's certain options that allow participants to ask questions and things like that. Then we're going to talk about what is Food Day, in case this is a new thing for you. Why we are wanting colleges and universities to be represented in this process. What is Real Food Challenge, in case that's also a new organization for you. Why you should organize an event. Why Food Day is an important thing to organize around. Then we're going to jump into the Campus Food Day Guide and hear about successful events from 2012 from the panelists that we have on the line. Then we'll do a question and answer session with the panelists, about 15 to 20 minutes depending on time. And then we'll conclude with what's next. So what to do right now to get started and to get moving after this webinar. So now I'm going to hand it over to Avi Schlossberg, who is on Food Day staff, and he's handling the back end of this whole webinar, and he's going to run through how to use GoToWebinar and also talk more about Food Day. So go ahead.
Great. Thank you so much, Kate, and thank you all for joining us. We're really great to have you, really excited to have you all on board and interested in Real Food Challenge and Food Day on campus for 2013. So for those of you who have not used the GoToWebinar platform before, I'm just going to run through this really quickly with you all. So you should have a little module here on the right-hand side with your dashboard. And we're going to have a Q&A session at the end of this. So in order to ask questions, you can go about this one of two ways. You should be able to see a little hand icon on the left-hand side, a raise hand icon. If you go ahead and click that, we can see that you want to ask a question or have a concern, so we can address it that way, or you can type in a question and we will address those at the end of the call. I can read them out, and whoever wants to answer them appropriately, Kate or one of our panelists or another member of the call. Hopefully we can get a little bit of a discussion going here. So that's the gist of the GoToWebinar platform. And if you have any questions or having any difficulties, feel free to ask a question, and we'll try and get back to you during the call if you have any technical problems. So Food Day, for those of you who missed out last year and the year before, we're on our third year here, very excited. Food Day is a project out of the Center for Science and the Public Interest, a nonprofit that's been around for 40-plus years now, working on food safety and childhood nutrition and marketing and food labeling issues. It's a year-round nationwide celebration of healthy, affordable, and sustainably produced food, and it's also a grassroots campaign for better food policies. So we're working to celebrate the food system when it works and fix it when it's broken through advocacy, education, resource sharing, and collaboration. And it's despite the name Food Day, and it is a year-long effort that culminates on October 24th, Food Day itself, where there are thousands of events across the country. Last year, there were about 3,200, so I'll get to that in a sec. So one of the unique things about Food Day is that we've, in our short time here, have established a lot of really wonderful national partners and have established a resource bank and kind of this invaluable network, both on the ground and at the national level here, that you can tap into. So there's lots of different groups that we have. Farm to School Network and Farm to School, National Farm to School Month is in October, the same month as Food Day, and Real Food Challenge, and Slow Food USA. So lots of groups that have campus presence and presence within communities across the country that you can connect with for Food Day that have some buy-in already. So definitely a good thing to look out for as you're organizing. Who's a part of the Food Day network, and how can I get involved? So last year, as I said, there were over 3,200 events. In the first year, there were about 2,300 plus registered events on our national map. And we had 120 people kind of running things in their own community. We call them coordinators last year, and we hope to have many more this year on campuses and across the country. And Kate will talk a little bit more about taking a leadership role on campuses. And this year our goal is 4,500 events in all 50 states. And each year we've had events in all 50 states, from Hawaii to Florida and Alaska and Maine. So it's been great, and we look forward to having you all involved. So I will pass it back over to Kate now.
Cool. So I want to dig in a little bit more as to why we actually care about engaging colleges and universities and the demographics on those campuses, and why we want them to be part of Food Day. So as some of you may know, college campuses have historically been hubs of social movements, and this one is no exception, as in the food movement. Additionally, colleges and universities in the United States spend $5 billion per year on food, and people on college campuses, when they get together, whether it's students, administrators, whoever, can actually have an impact and leverage that huge purchasing power to invest in a better type of food system that's healthy and just and sustainable. And so that's actually Real Food Challenge's vision. So basically, Real Food Challenge is an organization composed of college students and other young people who are uniting together to get their universities to commit to purchasing what is termed real food. So essentially, in a broader sense, food that is healthy, just, and sustainable. And so the national campaign is to get 20% real food purchased by your university purchased nationwide by 2020, and that's about $1 billion every year that we want invested in a real food economy. And additionally, Real Food Challenge is also a network of, and a big focus is connecting students to each other and also building really valuable and crucial skills to allow these young people to go forward and be able to carry on this movement. And basically the idea is that with these two goals, we can actually catalyze the transformation of the larger food system through investing large amounts of purchasing power and also building a really robust network of young people. And so since Food Day, one of our big focuses is policy change. Similarly with Real Food Challenge, we have 17 colleges and universities that have signed on to a policy commitment of 20% real food, and this has amounted at this point to just over $50 million that will be invested every year by 2020 towards real food. And basically, Real Food Challenge and Food Day came together to bring Food Day to campuses and make sure that Food Day has a presence on these really unique places. So why should you organize an event? Obviously, everyone that's here already has an investment, but I want to really emphasize some of the really cool components of a food day event. So for one, as Avi mentioned, it's really momentous. So last year there were 3,200 events nationwide in all 50 states. That's a cool thing to be a part of, and also a really good messaging point that you're part of a really big movement of people that all care about the same type of food system to be invested in. Additionally, it's really strategic. It can be anything from wanting to simply start the conversation about campus food with students and administrators on your campus and say like, hey, we should be thinking more about our investments, to actually just having a more public campus presence for your organization or department or whoever you may be representing. And also you can use it as an opportunity to get petitions signed. Say if you want to get the Real Food Campus Commitment signed on your campus, you can do a petition drive on Food Day. Also, there are some schools, that are looking to get the commitment signed on Food Day, which is, I couldn't think of a better way to use the day to get, this very visual representation of a university shifting purchasing policies towards healthy and sustainable food. And of course, lastly, it's exciting. It's a day full of like dinners and movie screenings and speakers, and also tons of really unique events that our panelists are going to talk about coming up fairly soon. So there are portions of the rest of the webinar that I'm going to highlight some particular pieces of the Food Day Campus Guide that will be out in the follow-up email. So these are some of the points of this campus guide. It's a super comprehensive list of like, this is what you need to be doing at this point to get to a really great Food Day event. So it covers Real Food Challenge, it covers planning your timeline, also sample events, and also registering your event online so we can track it. So now for the exciting part. We have 3 panelists on the line, which I'm very excited about. I'm going to introduce them first, and then we're going to jump into our first panelist. So Rachel Greenberger is our first panelist, and she is the Director of Food Soul at Babson College. And she's actually the only non-student on as a panelist today. However, I think she did graduate from Babson College recently. So then we have Daniel Waldorf, who is the president of Duke Food for Thought at Duke University, which is actually a Real Food Challenge branch. Then we have Megan Laird, who is on the University of California at Santa Cruz Food Systems Working Group, which is the kind of arm of making sure policy change lasts at a university. And she's at the University of California, Santa Cruz. So first, if you want to go ahead, Avi, to the next slide. First, I wanted to highlight one portion of the Food Day Guide that you will be able to have access soon to, and this is a sample planning timeline. And I think this is often something that's really overlooked of actually planning out the steps of where you want to be at what point. And again, over and over, I hear students tell me that they wish they had done a planning timeline because it really tells you where you need to be, and so you don't have any hiccups near the end of the process that inhibit you from doing everything you wanted. And some highlights from this timeline would be things like submitting funding requests for your Food Day event if you want to get funding from a department or something, to do it now because you can be the first in line. Starting your team outreach early, and that's something Rachel's going to dig into in a second. Creating a timeline and creating goals, so goals around outreach, goals around building your student organization. How many core drivers of this event do you want to have and to have them last in the organization? And also meeting with your team as appropriate. So many groups do it bi-weekly or weekly as appropriate, whatever makes sense. So basically the idea is, where do we want to be in June, June 15th, that type of thing, and really sticking to those goals and being held accountable to that. Oh, so yeah, so Rachel, if you would like to dig into what you did for Food Day and also your insights. Go ahead.
Great, thank you so much, Kate. So yeah, I'm very excited to share with you a little bit of our last food day. As Kate mentioned, I am not a student. I was recently a student. I was an MBA student at Babson College. I now direct Food Soul, which is a startup I co-founded in the summer of 2011. Food Soul, if you want to read about Food Soul, it's foodsoul.org. And we call ourselves an action tank for food entrepreneurship of all kinds. Babson is a school of business and entrepreneurship outside of Boston. So I learned about Food Day in the summer of 2011 while we were launching Food Soul, and I would definitely say that Food Soul and Food Day have been buddies ever since. We're going into our third year as we're going into planning third annual Food Day. Before I tell you a bit about the slide you're looking at, I would, and I know that Kate's last slide was a sample timeline, but one thing I would just share off the top of my head looking at it is that as students, if mostly students are on the line, but students, faculty, and staff, certainly, students have access to the marketing departments of their schools and the public relations departments who are really incentivized to find and tell wonderful stories about work that students are doing on campuses. So I would encourage you to think about, as you're forming your plans, maybe trying to have a conversation with the administrative marketing department and PR department well in advance of Food Day, just to share the overview of your ideas, because they can really help push out messages to a lot of media and get a lot of attention around what you're doing. So I just throw that out. Now we'll move on to the first slide we're looking at. This says Storytellers, and this is some images from this last Food Day 2012. And the reason I wanted to share it with you is because it's one of our most popular sessions that we had in the last year's 2 days of Food Day. And it's a really simple design, so just something to think about and maybe create in a different way, in a way that works for you. We called this Food is Everybody's Business, and we brought in 6 food thought leaders and celebrities from across the country. On the far left at the top, that's Catherine D'Amato, who's the president of the Greater Boston Food Bank. Next to her is Brandy Brooks from the Food Project. Next to Brandy is J.D. Kemp from Organic Renaissance. And then the gentleman on the far right at the top is Andrew Zimmern from Bazaar Foods, who's an entrepreneur in residence at Babson. He just won the James Beard Award for Outstanding Television Personality for Food. So definitely a celebrity in his own right. And rather than do a standard panel where we told the guests to just share who they are and how everything they've accomplished and everything they know, we said we want you to think about your food journey. We want you to tell your story, why food matters to you and why you're in the work that you're in. And it absolutely, just reframing it in that way, making it very heartfelt and extremely personal and human and accessible, totally changed the way the session went. Each of the panelists had 5 minutes on the clock to tell their story. The stories were amazing. You can watch them on Babson Food Day website if you want. And then in the lower section, you can see the layout. They had different tables where the guests sat at tables, and at each table there was a seat left empty for one of the panelists. So they were all up at the front of the room. They all told their stories, one right after the other, and then we invited them each to go and sit at one of the tables. And for the next hour and a half, the noise did not stop. There was so much conversation, students, guests, faculty, staff, and it was just a very intimate way to get 150 people in one room and really feel like they had access. And in those in those smaller conversations at the table, they definitely got into the issues and the policies and the data and the expertise, but because these people who are famous in different ways started with something very unique to them and very sort of old and deep, it made for a really special session, and it was, people said it was the favorite session of the 2 days that we did. So if you want to go to the next slide, I can then tell you a little bit about the marketplace. Oh, great. So this is our marketplace of great food and great ideas, which we've done every year, or the 2 years so far, and it was a huge hit. And some students along the left-hand side, and then on the right side, that's me with Kevin from Dunk the Junk. which is a Maine-based organization for mitigating childhood obesity. And then below me and Kevin is Andrew Zimmern and Gail Simmons. Gail Simmons from Top Chef and Food and Wine magazine. She's also an entrepreneur in residence with us now. Andrew Zimmern invited her to come out for the day, and she had so much fun. She said, I don't want to leave. And the marketplace is really a fairly simple concept. We invited our food service provider, who at Babson is Sodexo, and the local team at Babson to create a lunch with us really focused on local ingredients, sustainable sourcing. And you can see the tables where the lunch is being served or being enjoyed here, and then you can't see it in these pictures, but around the periphery of all the round lunch tables, we invited different vendors, local farms, local food businesses that sort of followed the practices we wanted to highlight, the Babson businesses in the food space, and then some local vendors of the food service provider Sodexo as well. So it was a combination kind of idea fair, farmers market, and then lunch. And it can bring everybody out onto the lawn or a central location. In our case with Sodexo, they closed the dining hall, so everybody who wanted to eat lunch on this day was outside under the trees, and it was really gorgeous. So I'll stop there and pass it back to Kate. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rachel. Avi, if you'd like to move on to the next slide. Oh, actually, I guess I should pass it back to you, Rachel, because I forgot about this part. So.
Okay, no worries. Thanks. So just very quickly, a couple of tips on planning Food Day and starting to think at this point about what you'd like to do. There's a really wonderful TED Talk. It's my favorite TED Talk ever, called Start With Why by Simon Sinek. The link to Simon's website is at the bottom of this slide. It's a really amazing exercise in why people do what they do. We think about this all the time, or we don't think about it necessarily. We move from our why all the time, but we don't necessarily stop and articulate it. And I think when it comes to planning an event for Food Day, it's extremely gratifying and exciting and exhilarating. It's also a lot of work and requires coordination and influencing others to come along. And so I would encourage everyone, if you're thinking about a Food Day event, to take a little bit of time to just reflect on, what do I personally care the most about food? What would I like to share in terms of a message or open a conversation about what really matters to me? Because what matters to you is what's going to keep the energy going and keep you excited and inspired, and that excitement and inspiration is infectious and will pull other people along. So I would just say, and then here I say mine is Food is Everybody's Business, which is a play on business for a business school, but I feel very strongly about this, and I wanted our Food Day to be the most open, inviting place for people of all different food cultures, values, levels of education, to feel like they could come together and get a little bit closer to their own plates. Next slide, please. So the second thing is, after you've identified your why and started to articulate it, you need to find your team. Your team might be just 2 to 5 other people, depending, but this is your core group, the sort of hub of your Food Day activities. And when you gather these people who are interested and you share your why and they share their whys, together you can begin to look at, okay, based on what we really care about and what we really want to share, what do we want our Food Day to be about? Next slide, please. And then finally, you've got your why, you've got your team, sketch your vision. This is an example. The arrows show the 2 sessions that I shared with you. This is a 2-day Food Day plan, Babson Food Days from 2012. We had 15 plus different iterations of this schedule over the course of planning it. Things changed, new partners came on board, they wanted to do it this way, they wanted to do it that way. That's totally great, and it's going to happen, and it's to be expected, especially as you're pulling more and more partners in. But what's great is you have your compass, which is your why, and your team has their compass, which is the collection of your whys, and it makes it really easy when things start to move around or you need to negotiate and change pieces to know, where am I willing to flex and where do I really want to stick to the original vision. So I would say at this point, given that we're just getting into summer now, a sketch of what kinds of sessions you'd like to include is a great place to start. It gets people aligned in a sense of, do we want a whole day of events? Do we just want one event? Do we want to do it in the afternoon or the evening? And then that will be a great tool to start to enroll others and have them add their ingredients to the food day recipe. So now I'll pass it back for real. Thank you.
Great, thanks Rachel. I think those are really important parts of your presentation, so awesome. Cool, so if you want to go ahead, Avi. Yeah, so I think we are currently awaiting one of our panelists who is next. He's having some issues getting on. So we are actually going to skip around to our third panelist, who will now be going second, named Megan. And so we will get there. So, oh wait. You guys get a preview of what's happening. I think go forward. There it is. Thinking big. Oh dear. Yay. There we are. Okay, so Megan Laird is going to talk about what she does at UC Santa Cruz and also what they did for their Food Week event, which was, you know, kind of thinking of Food Day in a bigger context of multiple days. So go for it, Megan.
Awesome, thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Megan Laird and I am the Program and Outreach Coordinator for the UC Santa Cruz Food Systems Working Group here on campus. And we are a campus organization that strives to educate the greater student body on food system issues through large programs and events on campus, as well as our campus farm, and to also form collaborations with organizations on campus as well as in the Santa Cruz community. Our basic overall goal for the working group is to get 40% more real food into the campus dining halls by 2020. Kind of reaching past 20% and going straight for 40. Yeah, and basically the definition of real food as for the Real Food Challenge food wheel that they educate with. Real food kind of is defined as something that's ecologically sound, fair, meaning it's respective to labor rights, local, and humanely produced. So we kind of went full on and tried to do a food week this past year, and actually if we're able to maybe skip to the next slide really quick, that would give a really good visual for what we kind of did during that week. We have a flyer presented like in the center of this slide where we thought of something really innovative because we realized that we had a very small core team. There were only 2 of us really working on the logistics of Food Week, where we had a larger group of people helping us with specific events, but as for the planning and logistics, we only had 2 people. So what we thought was that we would invite other campus organizations and other groups that had to do with food, social justice, sustainability-related endeavors on our campus, and we would ask them if they would like to host an event, and then we would promote it. So then that way we wouldn't have to figure out, oh, what are we doing every day of the week and worry about planning so many events if we didn't have the workforce to do so. And instead we would invite other people to collaborate with us, and then we would be able to advertise for them in one consolidated flyer. So this worked out really well, and we also, by doing this, we also got to promote to the members and people who have heard about the organizations we were working with. So yeah, and I guess we could maybe hop back to the other slide really quick. So for the actual food day, we wanted to reach the greater student body who have meal plans in our campus dining halls by providing a food day dish. So what we did was we sourced we created a real food day salad. So we sourced the greens from a local farm in the Santa Cruz community, and then on our campus farm we picked the apples right from the farm, put some apples in that salad, and then had a baked roll that we baked right there in the dining halls. And so when we did this, we advertised it with signs, and we also talked to people, and we had a table set up in every dining hall, so everyone kind of knew what was in the salad we were eating and why it was so important. In addition, we also used some of the Food Day campaigning materials that we were able to get regarding the campaigning program, where we printed off these campaigning sheets that say "I eat real," and then there's a blank statement. We laminated those sheets, and students were able to write in why they ate real or why they wanted more real food in their dining halls. And then we took pictures of every student who participated with this and put it onto our Facebook page. So after this event happened, we had a lot of outreach after the fact as well as during, to get more students knowledgeable of what was happening in their dining hall if they happened to not eat during the hours that we presented that. So that is basically the I Eat Real photo petitions that's listed right there. Then we created a lot of events that we, the Food Systems Working Group, planned ourselves during the week. And so maybe, sorry to just keep going back and forth, if we could shift to the next slide to go back to that flyer, that would be great. Great. So we started off the week with what's called a Food Systems Learning Journey at our campus. So our organization has partnered with the Recreation Department on our campus to where students who like to sign up for camping events or hiking or field trips through our Recreation Department, we collaborated with this department so that we could have learning journeys of local aspects of the food system and take people on field trips for them. So it's subsidized in that when we collaborate with this Recreation Department, they will maybe, some events will be free, but for the most part they'll charge students like $5 to go on this field trip or this tour. And then, so we only really have to pay half of what it would really cost, if it costs anything at all. And so we do this throughout the year, but we made sure to have some really enticing learning journeys happening during Food Week. So we strategically plan to have a learning journey on the first day of Food Week and then the last day of Food Week. So the first day we actually took students in a recreation van to Oakland at the Numi Tea Company, and they got to try different types of teas and learn about sustainable tea making, which is really awesome. And on our flyer you can see that we told people where to register. So these flyers were put up like weeks in advance. We were constantly circulating them so that students knew what was going on. And we also had it on the Recreation Department website and other forms of social media. And that was very successful. And then we also had different farm and garden groups on our campus advertise when their organizations would first start meeting and if they were going to have any potlucks or garden tours, tea parties, all of that stuff. We made sure to put it under the specific day of Food Week. So if you look at the flyer, you'll see that there's a bunch of events going on. We're not planning all of them, but we are in collaboration with different organizations, which makes it easier on us and it promotes their events. And so both of us are really happy in that regard. And it creates a really full Food Week that doesn't kind of overcommit you and create too much work for a small group of people if that's all you have for organizers. Yeah, so then Monday and Tuesday, other organizations kind of handled those days. We just promoted their events. And then Wednesday was the Food Day celebration. For lunch, we had that Food Day dish in the dining hall. Then we had another group that ran a local garden, advertised some like tea and salad and like a tour of the farm that was not related to us, but we advertised it. And then in the evening, because it's October and it's getting close to Halloween, we thought what better way to get people to learn about their food systems than by having pumpkin painting. And so we invited people to an area of our farm to watch some short films about food system issues, really entertaining short little videos you could find on YouTube, provided pumpkins and sustainable paints, some music, a really nice space in order to have a food day celebration in the evening, especially as people like to kind of get in touch with the fall season with pumpkins and the harvest and everything. One thing to note is that something we learned from this event is that we didn't have a huge turnout because it is still the beginning of the year. Our school year began at the end of September, so basically students had just started school because it had been less than a month into school, and we realized that most of the student body we were advertising to didn't know their way around campus, and the farm is not the easiest of places to find on our campus. And so even though we pushed really hard, dressed up in veggie suits, tried to get the word out, people just didn't want to try and find the farm at that point. So we realized that that was something, maybe the location is what got that a little bit lower turnout. So it was something for us to change for next year's Food Day celebration. Yeah, Friday we had a movie night, rented out a space on the campus, advertised for that. Realized another thing about this, we got a decent turnout, but it probably would have been bigger if we didn't choose a Friday night because college kids do like to have their social time, and so, and especially at the beginning of the year when freshmen are meeting people and wanting to hang out with their new friends, we realized that maybe having a film night in like the later afternoon earlier in the week would have gotten a bigger turnout. So that's another lesson we learned, but it was still successful in its own right. And then we ended the week with our learning journey that we love to put on. It's a biking to the Santa Cruz Farms and Gardens. So basically everyone who signed up met up with us in a general location on their bike, and then we led a tour throughout Santa Cruz and saw different local sustainable food systems and farms, and got the farm owners, connected with them well ahead of time, but got the farm owners to give us a tour of their farm and even let us try out some fruits and veggies that they had for us. And it was really a good time, and people got to know more about their local food system other than just already prepared food, but also how it grows. So yeah, that was basically our food week. And things to note about this week, yeah, advertise as long as possible, which ties completely to planning earlier. Earlier is always better. We found that you will always be more popular if you are in a vegetable costume. So those were really big for us. People want to come take pictures with you. People want to learn about why you're in that suit. They want to learn about what you're doing. They think you're really cool. It doesn't matter the age or anything like that. They were really good for us to have. And so even investing with whatever group you're working with on your campus, if you invest in some costumes or know where to rent them, even for events past Food Week, they really are good at getting people interested, like the initial hook of like, what are you doing? What is all this about? Again, we did have a core logistics team of 2 people, and we realized that we would love to have had some more people, at least double that. So I think 4 would be really good for a solid core team of people that plan logistically, not taking into consideration a greater base of people that can help with like extra hands the day of and things like that. But in terms of logistics, having maybe a group of 4 to 6 in our experience would be really good. And I think the last thing to mention is that when trying to find funds for your food week or your food day events, it's always good to see what kind of granting bodies are on your campus. Our UC Santa Cruz campus has the Campus Sustainability Council and Measure 43, and these initiatives use student funds that are generated every year by students paying small fees every quarter, and they are in charge of holding this body of funds and allocating it out to people who apply for grant proposals. And so if you have any of those granting bodies on your campus, it's always good to send in a grant proposal and or go into your local college senate, have a proposal ready in how this will better the greater campus body. And at our university's experience in the past, they're very successful at doing this. Pretty much all groups that have an event or idea to serve the greater campus body has received funding, and it's a really great way to get funds if you don't already have some. So yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Megan. Next, we are going to run back to our second panelist, who is a student at Duke University. And his name is Daniel, and he's going to talk first about their Food Day event, and then also some insights he had in the planning process. So go for it, Daniel. I think we hopefully don't have any audio issues, but let's try.
Hey, can you hear me? I hope so. Kid, you got a...
Yep, Daniel, you're good.
Okay, cool. Well, our food day was 100-person dinner on our main quad, and we basically brought a bunch of food, quote-unquote, food experts to sit at each table and kind of anchor the conversations at each table about various different topics. And as we sold tickets to the event, we had people circle those different choices and just go from there. In planning for it, I just sorry, I just kind of jumped in on this conversation, but obviously planning ahead is super important, and hammering out all the logistics way ahead of time. I'm probably rehashing stuff, but yeah, another strategic thing to think about is when inviting people to come to your event and speak and be quote-unquote food experts. They can be guys for whatever sort of food commitment or real food commitment campaign you have in the future. So that's something to think strategically about. And what else? So I guess one thing that Kate wanted me to talk about a little bit in depth was reaching out, which is what I guess the last panel was talking about. Veggie Suits, awesome. I think we'll look into that this year. The things that we were successful with were really hitting everybody really hard with advertising. Having a social media strategy is really useful with having identifying your audience and understanding things like, oh yeah, they're like Fridays are not going to be so good for them, so we should plan for this day, and then highlight that it's going to be, a really awesome event that everybody can come out to. We made sure that the price of the food or the price of the meal was $5 and could be paid for via our university Flex system, which is just like a card payment system. So it was very convenient for anybody to just sign up. And so we highlighted those aspects in advertising. And then it's always a plus to have some cool graphic design, see if there's anybody who knows how to use Photoshop and Illustrator, and make some cool, awesome advertisements and post them everywhere, especially in places where people may not be expecting them and may not necessarily just glance over them like they would on the flyer boards. So we hit up light posts and trees and bathrooms, stalls. So sometimes a little awkward, but definitely people pay attention to them. Oh, and sorry, back to the social media. Definitely having a content calendar is really useful. So, for example, knowing the Twitter post that you'll put out. Sorry, excuse that. Knowing the Twitter post that you'll put out on which days and who will do those things, and then which Facebook posts, and then also things like maybe you use Pinterest or just any sort of platform where you think that people will pay attention and word will get out. Was really successful for us. What we like to call extreme tabling, where you just do really fun stuff like the Veggie Suits. So for example, I went out there with some friends and we were playing guitar and juggling and just basically looking like we were having a fun time. So people wanted to come up to us rather than having to badger them for buying a ticket or something like that. And then there was like some other tablers who were like doing some sort of like African event, and they were like doing a bunch of dances from that, and then I started joining them, and then like it really like just brought people to our table, and it was just like a time. So that's something we had a lot of success with. And then we also made like these painted boards, which a lot of our student groups do to advertise, and they were just like cool, attention grabbing. And then oh, and have everybody in your group and all of their friends like invite people to your event. So just like have a day where you all sit down and have like an inviting like session where you invite like 300 people each. And that definitely helped. This is a little embarrassing, but my computer is dying and I'm in like a really awkward spot outside of a Panera Bread. So I might try to go find like a plug to plug this into, but Kate, you might have to take it from here.
Cool. Well, thank you, Daniel. I know you had some issues coming out of this webinar, so we really appreciate you taking the time. So next, we're actually going to jump into the question and answer session. So it looks like we have about 10 minutes for this, and this is an opportunity where any panelist on the line can either type in a question in the question box, which is on the right-hand side. There's a little box for you to type in questions, and Avi can manage that. Or you can also actually, I think, raise your hands, and you can actually speak your question to a panelist, or just ask them all in general. So actually, Avi, if you want to jump to the Q&A slide, and so everyone can get a refresher on who everyone is. There we are. So if anyone has any questions, go ahead and type them in or raise your hand. And we have about 10 minutes for this, maybe a little bit less.
And panelists, as we're waiting for some questions, if you want to give some, looks like we have a question from Ken Botts asking if, did any of you have your regional food day rep visit your campus during your planning or event day, and did that help? So if anyone, everyone's unmuted at this point, if anyone wants to answer that.
This is Rachel. I can jump in. So yes, we had a, I think the answer is yes. We had a food day coordinator from the state of Massachusetts attend part of our event. I would say it certainly helped because that individual was in a position to promote the event before and after, which has been really helpful because now when we're looking to get the word out on what we're doing this year, she was there. She saw our event last year. So I'd say, yeah, for sure, reach out.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Megan, Kate, Daniel, have any insight on that?
Are you talking about the regional field organizer for Real Food Challenge?
Sorry.
I think that could be an option, Megan, if that person was helpful for your food day event.
Oh, okay. I guess I just missed who you're talking about in the question. Sorry.
Oh, the question was, did any of the organizers or panelists here have a regional food day rep visit your campus during your planning, and did that help?
We did not. It would probably help a lot if that were to happen. But yeah, this past year we did not have someone.
And I'll just add to that, Ken, the National Food Day staff is very small, so we only do a very limited number of physical outreach trips, and then the coordinators on the ground for Food Day are sort of self-established, so there aren't necessarily ones for every campus or for every community. It's relatively autonomous. So, yeah, ideally we would like to have someone who can reach out and come to planning meetings and help on the ground. And if you're interested, or anyone on the call is interested on being a regional or community coordinator, is what we call them, please reach out to Kate, and we'll go ahead and send around her email address at the end here, and she can get you going with that. So do we have any other questions? So Ruth Carey has a question. Do you have recommendations for documentaries to show at Food Day? She said they showed Part 4 of Weight at the Nation at Widener University, but are thinking of expanding to have a variety of documentaries shown with professors and reps from local food justice efforts. So any other documentaries you all recommend?
Food Inc.
Kate,
is always
okay.
a good go-to. And there is I haven't seen it, but there's a recent documentary out now that's, I think it's called Our Place at the Table, where Jeff Bridges is the kind of host for the documentary, and that's supposed to be very influential. Oh, there's so many good ones. If there's a follow-up after this, I'd be more than happy to list some specifics. They escape me at the moment.
And we, on top of that, Ruth, we have a Food Day is developing a film screening guide. We actually have 2012 is available on in our resources library. If you go to foodday.org and go to the resources, it's there, and we'll be updating that with newer documentaries as well, like A Place at the Table and a few short films that have come out. So there's lots of great documentaries that can be shown there, and we've partnered with several last year, and hopefully we'll do the same this year to get discounts on screening rights, 25%, 50% off on Cafeteria Man was a big popular one, and several others. So definitely a good idea to have some diversity and check that out. Erica Padilla has a question saying, how did you find navigating the campus administration? And for example, on her campus, we need to get permission to sell food because there is a designated vendor.
Megan, if you want to take that, I feel like you've done, Megan, this is Rachel, you've done so many different events, also from a student point of view, it's probably more relevant for you to take it.
Yes, of course. Well, we have a good standing relationship with our dining hall. We actually work very closely with them, and so our Food Day dish, it's also very convenient because we also have a 25-acre organic farm on our campus, and so our working group is kind of, in a sense, a liaison between our campus farm and the dining hall, and so it's been very easy to source things into the dining hall for like our salad bars and for special meals. We do Farm Friday dishes at a certain dining hall every week, and it's easy in that regard because the dining hall is already kind of on board with certain produce that can be put into the dining hall, and upon being in my role, that was already established. And so I think talking with your dining administrators about sourcing a local food dish might be difficult if they're telling you that we already have certain vendors and it's like against policy to just bring in a bunch of stuff from a local farm to do this Food Day thing. But other than that, all of our Food Day events on campus have been either with our campus gardens where the food is growing like straight out of the grounds, or in collaboration with our dining hall because we already have that already like established. And so I haven't personally had to work with any communications with the administrators on getting the okay. because we've already had it in place.
Yeah, if I can add in there, this is Kate. I have seen students who, I think one of the most powerful things you could do in that situation is to sit down and have a meeting with your dining manager and explain what you want to do and why you want to do it, and see ways where you could collaborate. Because often I've seen, I don't know what your food service provider is, but often I've seen Sodexo and Aramark schools and whoever else that actually partner with students on food day events and can source, local foods or organic foods. If you just go at it as a collaborative, positive relationship. So I think I would start there, and then also if you want to follow up with me, we can talk more about that, and my contact info is at the end of this email. But that's something I would totally love to explore with you, and I've definitely heard that story a lot, but I've also heard success stories around collaborating.
Great, thanks both of you. So we have one more question here, it looks like. So this is from Megan Alari. She wants to know, how far in advance do you reach out to food experts to join in your campus activities? Did you find those who are more well-known, like Andrew Zimmern, are willing to come to your campus?
So I can jump in. This is Rachel. I think, well, with Andrew Zimmern, he's an entrepreneur in residence with Babson, so it was sort of part of the deal to say, this is the big day, you got to come. But I think as far in advance as you can is good, but I would also make sure that you're at a point in your planning where you can give the expert or the guest a pretty clear idea of what it is you're going to want them to do. A lot of these folks are definitely busy and in high demand, and if you go after your top tier list, you can it's very likely you'll get the people, your top choices, if you give them at least a month or two's notice. But I think, they'll want to know, what time do you want me to be there? What kind of a session is it going to be? So as much as you can kind of frame out what it is you're asking of them before you go to them, you'll have a better chance of them feeling confident about what you're doing and wanting to join you in what you're doing. So I would give as much notice as you can, but with a clear plan for what you're asking of them.
Yeah, also to follow up on that, checking in periodically is also a really good thing because, yes, people are very busy, and so even if they agree or say, yeah, I'd like to know more, like there is a chance their email could be, buried under a bunch of stuff, or they could, it could slip their mind. And so just following up with emails periodically to just check in with them is a convenience for them, and it's also a convenience for you. So we found that, like, not waiting maybe like 3 weeks between contacting them again, you might want to like follow up with them like sooner than that, just to like keep it fresh.
Great, thank you. Is there anyone else have any questions on the call, or any of our panelists have some final thoughts here before we wrap up? Okay, well, Kate, you want to?
Yeah. Great. So now that we've heard all of these ideas and kind of have some ideas going in our head, what's next? So next is to sign up to be a campus coordinator, and this is something you can do on foodday.org. There's the direct link there, but you can also very easily find it on the campus's page. So you can sign up to be a campus coordinator, and basically what this does is keeps you periodically updated with things to be doing at certain points, also what other schools are planning to give you more ideas, and also the resources you need to make sure every part of your planning process runs smoothly. And also a really cool aspect of signing up is that you can create your events in a public space on the foodday.org website. So others in your area, if they're searching for a food day event to attend, can actually attend your event, which I think is pretty neat. Also, you should start getting your team together. So what Rachel was talking about with finding others that share your why, and what Megan was talking about with finding a core team early. So getting your team together, reaching out to people right now and figuring out why you're doing what you're doing in the first place. And then also keep up with us on social media. So Real Food Challenge is at Real Food Now. Food Day is at Food Day 2013 on Twitter. And then also Facebook pages for both of us. Those are being constantly updated with lots of resources. And lastly, after this webinar, we will send an email with all the resources we've been kind of vaguely referring to, and including the Food Day guide for campus organizers, which is really exciting. And so we will also have this webinar. It's being recorded right now, and it will be published online, and we can send that out to everyone as well. So if you want to go ahead, obviously the last one. Oh, well, formatting is strange. So basically, also I want to offer myself out as a resource. So I am the Campus Food Day coordinator, so I do everything from doing like mass communications around resources and things like that, to also if you want to do a one-on-one brainstorming, that's totally fine. I'm totally here for that. And if you have any other questions as well, please feel free to reach out to me. Even some of these more specific questions I heard people ask, that's something we can totally hash out together, because I have a lot of experience working with campuses and working with students trying to organize around real food on campus. So my email is foodday@realfoodchallenge.org, and I am so excited everyone was able to come and attend tonight, and I can't wait to see what you come up with for Food Day this year. So thank you so much everyone for attending, and I hope to hear from you soon.
Yeah, thank you all very much, and thank you, panelists. This was really great. So we'll follow up with you. You can expect a follow-up email in the next few days. It'll have the slides and the webinar and resources. So, and feel free to reach out to Kate or us at Food Day. So thank you all again. Have a good night.